Hail and welcome to TAC Halls, official podcast of the Asatru Community Incorporated. My name is Seth Alfaderson, President of the Asatru Community, and I am joined by Andrew Price, Vice President, and Brett Shoemaker, Chairman of the Board. On this podcast, we will be exploring the northern tradition known as Asatru, as well as the wide breadth of heathenry and how it pertains to us, its practitioners in the modern world. We will be delving into the past and learning the history and the reason behind the rituals that we do today, and how all of this comes back around to make heathenry and Asatru what it is. Join us, sit back, and welcome to our hall. We would like to give a special thanks to Hawk Heimsdelman for generously allowing us to use his song for our intro. Hail and welcome.
To die, so she said goodbye. I remember the look of hope in her eyes. Keep the ravens on your right, never let them out of sight. All these thoughts and memories lift you up on raven wings.
Hail and welcome to this episode of TAC Halls. Today we have a very special episode with some special guests. I'm Seth, as you know.
My name is Katie Hansen. I'm TAC Editor-in-Chief, as well as producing the magazine for TAC members.
And I'm Andrew Price, Vice President of the Asatru Community.
And you know me, I'm Brett Shoemaker. I'm the Chairman of the Board of the Asatru Community.
And I'm Brennan Hansen, and I'm the Instagram guy.
As you can tell, today is a little bit different. We actually have everyone all sitting around here today, and we're going to be talking about a few interesting things. But to start off, Brett has a special announcement.
Yeah, as we said, we're at my house today doing this, so if we might have another special guest come and join us. His name is Nicholas. He's my 2-year-old son who's taking a nap right now. So if you hear a child in the background, don't worry, that's just my son.
Well, we will definitely be looking for that. I'm sure some people might have actually heard Nick before, and, well, it always brightens things up. Now, today we're going to be talking about kindreds, because that's actually why we're here today. Brett recently got all of us together and a few other people that we found through the TAC network together to start a kindred. Brett, what inspired you to do this?
Well, as everybody knows, I've been Asatru and following this path for over a decade now, and during that time I was involved with 2 different kindreds. They were both really good experiences. In fact, the only reason I left the kindreds is because I moved out of the area. When I came to California, I always knew I wanted to be a part of another kindred out here, and my main goal was to either find a kindred, and since I was unable to find one, I decided it was time to start my own. I was lucky enough that found people through TAC, people contacting us, and I gathered people in my area. We were lucky enough to find people within an hour's drive or so, and this is our second meeting today of Mjolnir's Forge Kindred.
And I know that the rest of us are really excited to be part of this, because I know none of us have been a part of an official kindred, so this is definitely all new for us. And we're all learning about the experience of starting a kindred. Andrew, what would you say your favorite part of this experience is?
I think my favorite part of it is really the large people experience. You know, I know for other people who solo practitioners would probably love to be a part of a kindred. It's not something that, it's not something that I would really expect most people to get a chance at. Especially I've noticed here at TAC. We don't have too many kindreds affiliated with us.
And part of that problem, I think, is that Asatru themselves are so spread out. It's kind of hard to find people to get together on a regular basis. That's one thing that happens is people create kindreds, and they never actually meet, and they dissolve fairly quickly. The purpose of a kindred is to get together as a family group and do ceremonies, do bloats. But to do that, you actually have to get out there, work, find people, and keep it going. That's one of the hardest part about keeping a kindred alive.
We definitely see that a lot. A lot of people will, we just got a new kindred started, and they'll apply to be an affiliated kindred even. And then even by the time I email them back, their kindred is dissolved. a few days later because they realize they won't be able to keep the commitment of meeting, or they realize who even knows. Most kindreds, they come and go.
Well, most successful kindreds have a base group of 6-8 people that always get together. And that's what you need. You need to make sure that people are always getting together for a function at least once a month, if not more. If you don't have that, it's not going to go anywhere because it will just fade away. You have to put in the commitment to actually be there for your brothers and sisters in your kindred.
I think Brett brought up a really good point, especially about how Australians today are so spread out. That definitely does make meeting in kindreds a little bit harder, especially people that are in a little bit more spread out areas where your neighbor's not close as well. Sometimes making that drive can be a little bit too much. But if you definitely do have people around you that want to get together, definitely do. The experience has been great. The sense of family and community, to see it translate actually from TAC on the internet, to see it translate into being in that community and physically meeting with people that are spiritual like you and that want to practice the way you do, it really just brings that spiritual life to fruition. It makes it very fulfilling.
You know, and there's actually a point I'd like to bring up on that note. You know, if you're listening and you have a kindred, and maybe you're not affiliated with us, maybe you brought it up before, maybe you haven't, maybe discuss that with your kindred. Maybe you don't have as many members as you would like. Maybe you don't have as many members as you'd like. Well, you know, our network is open. We are referring people to kindreds that are looking for it. It's all on our website.
And we have the map.
Absolutely. That's one of the biggest key features. I know it's not too populated right now, but we keep a map on our Kindred Central.
We actually have 3 maps. We have one to find kindreds, one to find charter members, and then one to find ambassadors. And you can contact any of these people, close to you, far away, or in between, and hopefully find people around you. And you'd really be surprised how many heathens might be in your area. We keep talking about how dispersed people are, and yes, it's true, but if you really look, you'd be surprised. Like, I'm just walking through my college and someone sees, like, one of my Ossetru tattoos and they know what it is, and they might not be involved in Ossetru, but they're definitely curious in Norse mythology and getting involved. And who knows what you'd be able to start if you just get out there.
And once you start, it does seem to snowball. When I first had the idea of forming this kindred here, it was because someone contacted me and were having a problem with a kindred that they were in. And next thing I know, I have 8 people coming to my house and forming a kindred. It just snowballed from one email, finding another person, and getting people involved. You have to get involved and have to get out there and do the work.
Exactly, and I think that's what a lot of people, they expect that, they just join, or they want to find a kindred and one's going to fall at their feet. But that's not how it works. You need to outreach. You need to put yourself out there, put your information out there, and be willing to meet strangers and other people. Now, as Brett just mentioned, and an interesting topic, and one I think we should talk about, is there are bad kindreds out there. And you need to research these things before you just go to someone's house.
But let me say that most of them are good. There are a few that are bad, but they're not all.
Of course. But it's always just important to
know what you're getting into.
Yes. Be wary of your surroundings and look into these things. You want to join a kindred? Go and find one. Go and find a real kindred.
A good kindred will have a set of bylaws that they follow. Just like any organization. The bylaws will state how the kindred is run, each and every little process, including finances, how that's disseminated, what it's been used for. This will help not only make it more of a legitimate organization, but will help take away some of the fears of some people when they're joining, because they'll know exactly how things are going to be run. The first thing we did after we created our name for our kindred was to make bylaws, and we'll be ratifying them today, I hope.
Definitely. I mean, when that's there, it's very easy to be able to tell what's actually going on, and so you want to look for that for sure.
Brendan, what was the big reason you wanted to join the kindred?
Well, just being more of a solo practitioner, or just being with Seth, I felt like I wasn't learning and being part of community as much as I could have been. And after joining and stuff, I really feel like I have a sense of belonging, and that's something that's really important to me in this situation. So, yeah, it's about the sense of belonging for me.
And communication is key. Once you do start a group, you got to stay in communication with everybody. Everybody's got to know what's going on. A simple way to do a meeting, do a potluck. Don't take all the responsibility on yourself. Your extended family, act like it. Everybody should pitch in. Today we're having a potluck here for our bloat when we do our summer stock bloat.
Now, as we talk about a lot of these things, I'm sure many of you are in kindreds and will agree with this sense of community and belonging that you can really achieve when you belong to a close-knit kindred. But a lot of you are probably wondering, how do you even start a kindred? What do you do when you're just sitting there alone on your computer wanting to join in a community? What is the first step?
Finding people.
Finding people is easily the first step. The most important thing, it's obviously easiest if you start a kindred with people you know. And then, as Brett was mentioning, once you build that base of like 8 people that meet every month, then you can start adding in other people and other things. But you really need to get that core set up. And one of the ways to really do that, as Brett mentioned, is setting up those bylaws. How would you suggest going about doing that? From someone who has zero experience in anything legal or any fancy wording, how do you start a set of bylaws?
Well, to be honest, what I did is I looked at the Austria community bylaws and kind of went off that. Our bylaws are set up very well, and they're very well done. They cover everything. I picked and choose what we needed because obviously we don't need to worry about some of the internet options that TAC does. But I went based off the bylaws of TAC. It had everything I needed. There were some changes about when I talked about officers in the organization. There are different titles for TAC officers than there are for kindred officers, and things of that nature. Anybody can take a look at the TAC bylaws on our Facebook and our website and take a look from there and go from there. And as you probably hear the bouncing in the background, my son has decided to wake up. I'm going to get him a bottle real quick.
Alright, so you've got your people together. You've set up your bylaws. Now it's time for a name. Now, this might sound easy, but you'd be surprised how hard it is for a group of people to come up with a name together that is original, not being used, and something that reflects what you want your kindred to do. Katie, do you have any, being the editor-in-chief, any creative options on coming up with names for kindreds at all?
Well, a lot of good ones are you could go using the runes. So starting off with something just like with a rune name, like Odala, something of that nature, and just kind of applying it to the use that you want to use. So like Odala Kindred or something of that nature. Though it's really important that in a group that everybody should agree on the name that you guys have, or at least put it to a vote. The best way that I found that we do names is have everybody create a small list of what they think would be a great idea, and then just everybody shares their great ideas, and then you just pick a few and vote on them. That's what our kindred ended up doing. Brett was amazingly came up with Mjolnir's Forge, which I personally think is a fantastic name, but our kindred also voted to have that as our name. Brett didn't just say, hey, this is what it is. It was a group decision and something that we worked on together as a group and as a team.
And I think that brings up something else that's really important, and that's the voting. As Brett mentioned, there's different officers, different titles, and whatever. Our kindred, and most of the ones that I know, are run like democracies. People vote on everything. The Goatee might even be on a cycle, and people will switch through. Everyone decides on everything. To me, at least, that seems to be the way to go. Instead of I remember the first time that we met with his kindred, with Brett, he told everyone that this is our kindred and not his. That it's part of all of our spiritual lives and something that we are all a part of and we all have a say in. And I think that's something really important that should be reflected in the bylaws and the organization of a kindred. That it's not a dictatorship or anything similar like that. It's about the community, the family, the extended family, and doing these things together. And like one of the first things that you can do is agree on a name. And I think we all love Mjolnir's Forge. And it's just, yeah. What would the next thing be?
Well, once you have your bylaws written up, then you have to elect your officers. There's a few basic officers that most kindreds use. There's the chieftain, who basically runs the kindred. They have one vote. There's the Gothi, who's the spiritual coordinator of the kindred. Sometimes the chieftain and the Gothi kind of merge together, and one person does both. As the case in our kindred, I'm doing both the chieftain and Gothi position right now. That will change hopefully in the future. As time goes by and people learn more and have the ability to step up and do more. You have your Skald, which is the record keeper. They keep all the records for the kindred, do all the writing, take the minutes of the meetings, things of that nature. We have a Drighton, who's like the constable of the kindred. They make sure all the bylaws are followed correctly and everything's done in a lawful manner, honorable way. We have a rune master, which is Seth, and he's the one who will teach the runes to the people of our kindred. And some people have a librarian, some people have a secretary. It just depends on how big your kindred is and what is actually needed. Mm-hmm. But the basic ones, of course, are the chieftain, the Gothi, the Skald, the Drighton, and the rune master. Once those are elected, then you can go start deciding on what your meetings are going to do. If you're going to bloat during the meeting, if you're going to just have a class during the meeting, if you're just going to get together, have a few beers, and just have family time, and you can decide from there and go from there. I would suggest meeting at minimum of once a month, if not more. It just depends on everybody's schedule. It can get very difficult getting 6, 8, 10 people together at the same day because of work schedules, family schedules, things of that nature. But it's something you need to address and make sure it gets done.
I think it's really important to bring up that when you're entering into a kindred, you have to realize that you will be taking the time to spend with these people. So you should make sure that your schedule allows for you to meet with people and get to know them and spend time with them. Not only is a kindred a place where you get to learn and have bloats, it's a place for family. It's where people get together to get that really great sense of community and what it's like to be with other Asatruers and practice together and get that really strong community feeling. So it's really important, especially when meeting with other people, that you allow that time. It's better for you to know the people in your kindred and think of them as family rather than just people that get together on a weekend. It's more of a community, a family kind of idea.
Definitely. And I mean, that's, I think, what a lot of people, when they want to start a kindred, may be missing. They focus all on, oh, it's Asatru, we need a kindred, we're going to do bloat, that's it, that's done. And that's fine. You can do that. At least the way I view a kindred is, the whole point is it's supposed to be a community of these people who are close in a vicinity, in beliefs, in everything, and they can get together and do secular things. It doesn't always have to be, at least to me, that's more what a kindred should be. Of course, there's always, and it should be the most prevalent, the religious element. But I think the family and the community and finding these people that will be able to commit this time to yourself and to those around you is something very important.
So what do you think, when you do start a kindred, there are a few things you will need to have. Eventually there will be more stuff you can acquire, but the basic things you will need for bloat, for Sumbul, and for get-togethers with the kindred, at the very least you need a drinking horn, you need a bowlie. if you have access to evergreen sprigs, would be nice. I'm lucky enough that my neighbor has a big evergreen in her front yard, and she allows me to get sprigs from whenever I need. Sometimes they aren't available, and you just make do with what you have on hand. Not all of us are lucky enough to have evergreen right in our front yard. But that is one thing, if you can get, that's an awesome thing to have. Eventually people buy ritual swords, create rune staffs, ganders, things of that nature. But the basic thing you should have at least is a drinking horn and a bully. As for the individual members of Kindred, I personally think that each member should have a Mjolnir pendant and their own set of runes. Which is one of the meetings coming up. We'll be making sure everybody makes their own rune set.
And as Brett said, these things, like, we have them and we use them and we really like having them, and having an evergreen sprig is amazing. But if you, as he said, you make do with what you have. If you don't have these things, it doesn't mean quit and give up. It means make do, as, at least in my opinion, the intent is what really drives what you're doing.
And there are places on the internet to find things like bullies and hollowing hammers. Etsy has been great. It has been a great place to find things. That's where Seth found the bully that we use.
And you would be surprised at how inexpensive some of these things are, yet how high the quality is. And with Etsy, it's important to remember everything is pretty much handmade, which I think lends a nice feeling to your ritual items. Giving a plug for Etsy, but that's okay.
Hey, if it produces good stuff, why not, right?
So once you have all these items, and you have these people, and you're meeting, and you have a plan, guess what? You now have a kindred. So now it's all about maintaining that kindred. And what are some ways in which that can be done?
Well, the easiest thing we did so far was we made a chat group on a Messenger, and the 8 of us talk almost on a daily basis. Kindred business, just BSing sometimes, but we all talk, we all take the time to get to know each other, and we have the Messenger where we have a contact 24/7 if we need it. Communication is key.
It's all about the communication. It's getting to the point where you can freely talk to these people, plan things, and do things is really when you know that your kindred is going to succeed, and not you formed it and 3 days later you've never heard from these people ever again and your kindred's gone.
And that's the whole point of this episode, is making a kindred and keeping it sustained. We want more kindreds out there. We want more people getting out of the solitary practitioner stage, getting in with each other, and coming together to learn and to bloat.
What's also really great is when Brett does the online bloats too, is that it would be a really good guideline to use with your kindred too. So you could take what he puts online and actually do it yourselves instead of, just reading it and appreciating it. When Brett does these things, we want you guys to be doing it along with him. So seeing the way that Brett does these online bloats and online symbols, it's a great way to get ideas and kind of like an outline to do your own bloat with your own kindred. That way you guys are practicing it yourselves rather than just a solo practitioner at home working along with Brett.
And we do have a new section of our website dedicated strictly to bloats, where you can read the bloat, download it, print it, and do the bloat yourself with a kindred or by yourself if need be, and have it more physical instead of just being on the online platform.
Definitely, it's something we want to see, is kindreds growing, people coming together. Almost, I'd say daily. With all the people that we deal with online, there's someone, I wish I was in a kindred. I'm so tired of the solitary life. Well, have you looked in your area for the heathens? Yeah, there aren't any. Oh, well, we have 5 members in your city. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, it's getting out there and reaching out to these resources such as TAC, such as other, our maps and ways to find people. It's just getting out there and finding them. They are there. They might not be online. They might be even less experienced than you and need someone that they're looking for. It's really just finding these people and getting out there using whatever network you have at your fingertips. Ours is a great one to find people. Then you find them and you start these things. And then, once you have these kindreds, you can come back to TAC, and we have some great ideas and programs that we're doing and will be doing for kindreds, such as connecting them all and just finding these resources that they need, such as starting a kindred.
Or bloats.
Or
rites.
Guides on how to do different rites. I mean, there's so many different things that you don't really think of when I want to start a kindred. And we're really hoping that in the future, in the coming weeks, we'll be able to really help those people who are really go-getters and really want to start these kindreds. And maybe we can see them starting to pop up and, the Asatru community really starting to spread and grow. It's this sense of community that we're endorsing and wanting to
keep alive.
To keep alive and to get people involved with.
And on that note, there's something I would like to say. If you are listening to us on our public Facebook page or just on YouTube, a lot of our maps, well, specifically like our charter member maps, are charter members only. That means you need to apply for charter membership. That's really easy to do.
And it's free.
And is free. Yes, that is the big thing. It is free. You just head over to our website, www.theosatrucommunity.org, and click join. It's really simple. It'll take you to a quick application to fill out, and those guys take anywhere between 2, sometimes maybe 3 weeks to process. But that gets you access to all our primary services for our charter members.
That includes the TAC magazine, which comes out monthly, and that is an exclusive only to our charter members. And again, that is a free thing that we do offer to our charter members. So definitely worth going online, signing up, joining the community. You should definitely get involved, see the people around you, and just get more information.
As well, if you are a charter member and you're visiting our website for the first time in a while, or you haven't heard this news, you'll definitely need to head over to the charter club on our website and make sure to register. And a really big thing is register with the email, if you can remember it, the email that you registered for or applied for your charter membership. That's the key thing. That's the main way we're going to be locating you on our website. So make sure to either put in your full name that you applied with or the email.
And if you don't remember the email or if there's some strange circumstances, feel free to contact us and we will definitely help you with figuring that out and getting you into Charter Club, as that's definitely where we want all of our charter members to be. And if any of you have applied and are still waiting for your acceptance, as Andrew said, it can take 2 to 3 weeks, but it's important to note you will be notified via physical postage. You'll receive an acceptance letter in the mail. You are able to inquire, however, of your status. You can message the page, but generally it'll be waiting to receive this letter in the mail. If you're rejected, however, you will be emailed almost immediately upon applying. And then we will go from there if there's anything to do there.
Well, that about covers how to start a kindred. We'd love to hear from people that are in kindreds. Give us ideas of what you need. How can we help you? Things of that nature. That's one reason. Another reason I wanted to start this kindred up was figure out what we can do for kindreds as members of TAC and how we can go from here. Katie, since we have you here for the first time, tell us a little about the magazine and some of the features in it so people can be aware of.
Yeah, the magazine is a really great thing that we come out with. We usually have it on issue, which will actually allow you to change turn the pages. It actually looks like a real magazine, which is amazing.
And it's all online?
Yeah. So you can actually, all charter members have access to this free. It's emailed to you as soon as it does come out. This will usually feature what's going on in TAC, let you know the big news that's come out, as well as a lot of articles that are both personal and informational. We'll have people write articles on how to do floats, or Brett's really great. He always contributes really great information and teaching the people what Oshachu is really all about. James Goldor also does a really great job. He does the rune lore, which is fantastic, and I think that's really great to offer our members, is something that's a little bit more detailed into the runes and they can understand. And so that does come out every month, and it does feature a bunch of different sections. So we do have a section on if somebody is sick or has recently had trouble, anything like that. We do have Ear's Blessing, which allows us to recognize those in the community that need our support, as well as Valkyrie's Rising for those of our members or families of members that have unfortunately passed, as well as great sections like recipes, a kids section, really great stuff in the magazine. So like I said, that does come out every month free to the charter members, so you guys should definitely check it out. We are always accepting submissions as long as they're relevant. So anything having to do with Oshachu, your personal experience, if you're an artist, we love to get your content. We
Even
would
family
love.
life.
Oh, exactly. We have a great section by Chelsea Lucas, who does how to do bloats with children, or how to include little kids in doing a lot of the Oshachu practices, which is really great, especially for younger families or people who are starting families, to get everybody involved.
And when does the magazine come out?
It comes out on the first weekend of every month. So the last day to turn in submissions is usually the 29th or the 30th, and then the magazine will come out the first weekend of the month.
And we will, of course, remind you when it's getting close to the deadline for submissions to send those in so that they can be included. Towards the end of every month, you'll see posts from our sites discussing it. And again, this is for charter members only, but it takes you about 5 minutes to apply, and it's completely free. So if you want to get this great magazine, we definitely suggest that you become a charter member. And then it'll be automatically emailed to you. And I don't believe Katie mentioned it, but you can also go on the website and Charter Club and view all of the previous issues of the magazine. And you might even be able to download the PDFs from there as well, or you will be once this podcast is over. However, again, you can only get them being a charter member. Now, along with... I don't know where I'm going. What's next?
So, Seth, now we've talked about the magazine, we've talked about Kindreds. There is one other thing that we want to talk about in this episode, and that's your new initiative of It's Time. Why don't you tell everybody about what It's Time is?
Well, I'm really glad that you brought this up, because I was just starting to think that it was time to talk about it. Now...
Wow.
Now, what is It's Time? Well, it is a new campaign that I am starting where there's a cat in my lap that wasn't there previously, so excuse me. It's Time is a new campaign where what we want to do is we want to show both Oshachu and non-Oshachu, those in and out of the community, that it's time for some change in Oshachu. Now, what is that change? Well, that will depend on you and what you think it's time for. It's time to go back to honoring the ancestors more. It's time to end the squabbling between different groups within Oshachu. It's time to get out in the real world and do bloats and form kindreds. It's time to end discrimination and racism in Oshachu. Whatever you think it's time for, well, it's time for it. Now, how can you get involved in this? Well, right now I'm actually compiling a promotional video involving many of our members and non-members saying what it's time for in just a short little clip, about 10 seconds long, and you can send that to my email at seth@theoshachucommunity.org, and you'll be included in this compilation video when it comes out. And this will be the spearhead for this. And the point of this is to raise awareness and get people aware of, what's going on and what the community wants to change. This isn't what the TAC leadership wants to change. This isn't what the Asa Pope wants to do. This is what the community, the people want to see as Oshachu develops in our modern lives. And that's what it's time for, and that's what it's about. So if you want to get involved with It's Time or find out more, please contact us and we'll let you know exactly what you can do. And I think it's time to end this podcast. And we wish you all the very best. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us and visit our website at www.theostriacommunity.org. Anyone else have anything to add?
See you around the web.
Hail.